Okay, if you know me, you know that I love money. I love talking about numbers. It's so important for you to know your numbers. And that's why I'm so excited to welcome today's guest, Charles Leikauf with Ecom Profit Group, who is talking about profit and ways to make more money, ways to budget, ways to help if you're in a challenging cash flow situation, things that you should be forecasting and monitoring. He's got a couple of great stories in today's episode. One's hilarious, but really good. You're going to learn so much out of these two stories that he shares today. Things that you can take immediately and start trying and testing and find more profit in your store. I mean, that's exactly what we want to be doing, right? Is we want to grow our business. And so Charles is such a good resource for that. I'm really excited for this conversation, for you to listen, for you to learn, for you to laugh. You'll see what I mean when we get to this part of the show. So let's dive in to this episode. Welcome to Rooted in Retail. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis. Here we have engaging and informative conversations with successful indie retailers and industry experts. Together, we learn, connect, and grow. All right, here's today's episode. Charles, welcome to Rooted in Retail. I'm thrilled you're here.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. So I just want to share how we met because we met last month. We're filming this in June. We met at a conference in Atlanta and it was a random, cocktails at the bar. And it's like, oh, you do retail? You're into retail? Me too. We're kind of like the only retail people here. And it was really great that we connected because I'm really excited for what you do, what you're going to share today. And I know our listeners are going to get a lot of value out of this. So before we dive in, will you take a couple minutes and share more about you and your business?
Sure. Well, hey, it was awesome to meet you. You never know when you go to these events who's going to be there. I think Natalie grabbed me and was like, "You got to meet Crystal. Come over here now." And she
Yes.
grabbed me by the arm. So she was really, really enthusiastic. I also think it was maybe 1 a.m.
Yeah, it was a little late. And I just got to give a shout. Natalie is with Dr. Doug's, who, if you're in our world, you know Dr. Doug's because they're a sponsor of our event. And I'm glad she grabbed me because this was a good connection.
She's fantastic. So a little bit about me. I am a corporate finance nerd turned entrepreneur. And so a couple of years ago, I was working for a really large company, 100 billion a year in revenue, doing finance analytics. Basically, my whole job was to make manufacturing facilities profitable or close them. So kind of not the nicest subject when people hear that, but eventually became a CFO of a large e-commerce company. And I started doing some financial consulting on the side. And I realized that I was enjoying the financial consulting work more than my W-2 job. Like, we all get into owning a business because we want to travel or grow a family or have some time or freedom or flexibility or whatever. And I realized not only was I earning the same, but I was having a lot more fun serving the small clients and helping them grow their business than some large business of, cool, you saved them $300 million this year. But like, did you change anyone individual's life? Like, you made a bunch of shareholders and it didn't become country rich. So being able to make an impact is how I got into that. I have been a fractional CFO since 2017. What does that mean? Usually people who are really good at doing the thing or selling the thing are not super good at the numbers of said thing. So when it comes to cash flow or budgets or profitability or bookkeeping or accounting, that's what me and my company Ecom Profit Group does. So if you want to figure out how to make more money with what you already have, you call us.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that it's fractional. You're seeing that a lot more often now with fractional CMO, COO, CFO, because you don't necessarily, as small businesses, you don't necessarily need a full-time CFO. So it's just such a great business model. And you specialize in these e-commerce businesses who are, a lot of our retailers, and we've talked about this prepping for this interview, I would say majority have an e-commerce business. Some are selling more than others. Some it's kind of a back burner. Some just haven't figured out the numbers and making it profitable, which after today, I think they'll get some advice and ideas there. And some are really killing it. So this is going to be great for this group. And I just want to start by talking about cash flow. So like I said, most of our listeners, they're small businesses. And at some point, they might face some cash flow challenges. I'm sure some listeners have been there. Maybe you're there right now, especially after ordering inventory and you need to sell that inventory to generate your revenue. So, can you share some practical tips for managing cash flow effectively in a cash strapped situation?
Sure. So this is what I'm best at the world at, because when I worked for the really large company and you are in a group that's losing hundreds of millions of dollars, you have to pull every single lever that you possibly can. Now, when you're a large company, you got lots of levers. When you're a small company, your number of levers kind of goes down. And so if you're smaller, there's a couple things you really need to do. I'll give you an instance. So one of my clients we signed on, he just wrote his first $100,000 inventory check. Kind of nervous. Am I going to sell it? When do I sell out of it? It's the biggest check he's ever written in his life at this time. And there's a couple things you can do to manage your cash flow better. And we're going to go over them here. One is figure out how you can pay for your inventory as late as possible. And
Okay.
so I don't know what kind of terms a lot of your clients have, but usually it's, hey, I want to buy 100 widgets and I have to pay for them a certain amount of time. Sometimes it's today and you get them in 2 months. Sometimes, you place the order today, you pay a percentage of it now, a percentage of it later. And the idea is you really want to stretch out your payables, which it means if you can have IOUs to your inventory suppliers, you want that. So we had a guy who would on day 0 place an order for inventory, and on day 60 he would get it, and he would have to pay for the whole order on day 0. So if you think about it, he's out 2 months of cash of inventory before he even gets to see it, before he even gets to sell it, much less waiting the 1 to 3 days for the merchant processor to get the money. Meanwhile, he's got rent, he's got employees, he's got, his own salary, right? Electric, whatever. And so we were saying, all right, you're going to place that same order, but see if they'll let you do half now and half on delivery. And eventually, over some time, let's do 30% now, 70% on delivery. And then later we go to, hey, let's pay you 30 days after we get it delivered, or 60 or 90 days. And so if you want to stretch out your payables, I'm sure your people some come from distributors, some come from suppliers, whatever it may be, is you want to have them have a whole list of all of their suppliers. And I want them to put a calendar reminder in their phone or in Google or Outlook or whatever they use to manage your time. And on that calendar, you have all of your suppliers, you have all your payment terms of them and how much money you spend with them. What I want you to do is every 6 months to hit up every single one of them and ask for better terms. Like set
Mm.
it in your calendar. And so we had someone do this, and their average days payable was like 15 days across like 30 different suppliers. That means they had like 1 or 2 people at like 30 and everyone else was at like 0. They stretched it out, changed the percentages, pushed people out. After about 6 months, they had about 35 days on average to pay for their inventory. And so
Awesome.
they were kind of large, so it was a big deal. So it's find a way to systematize how you can pay later and then leverage something like an Amex card or a credit card or something. Granted, I don't want you to get killed on interest, to push that on another 30 or 45 days. Because
Okay.
ultimately, if you can get the thing and sell the thing before you have to pay for it, I mean, not to be exaggerating, but that's technically free money.
Right. True. It is. We would love free money. And I love the idea of just revisiting it every 6 months and checking for better terms. I feel like we get so caught up in just this is the way that I do it, so I always do what I do, and you don't need to. You can ask and talk to your vendors, and I feel like a lot of them are willing to work with you, especially if you've worked with them for a while.
Mhm. So,
Awesome.
yeah, they may say no now, and
Right.
that's fine. But it's a lot harder to say no to me every 6 months for the next 2 years
Yeah,
than it is to say
exactly.
no to me now.
Yes, exactly. We just are so we can get so afraid to ask, I think. And really the worst thing is that they say no. So
Yeah.
you just got to ask. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Now, when I first started my business almost 12 years ago, I got a mentor pretty early and she's like, "What's your budget?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Well, how are you tracking money coming in and going out?" And I'm like, "Well, I use Chase as my bank, you know?" And so I had some things to learn. So she gave me this template of a budget for, my type of business, and I modified things. And to this day, I still use this budget template. And obviously with our retailers, forecasting is just so important. And I have a side project I'm working on. You shared some stuff with me for templates, and which was epic, because I love spreadsheets. But we want our retailers to really be forecasting and be using these tools to help support them. So can you walk us through what a cash flow forecast template looks like? Sure, there's a lot of components, but some of those key pieces that our retailers can get started and make sure that they're tracking these things so they can determine how much they should be spending on various aspects of their business.
Okay. So this is really helpful. I have everyone I work with do this, and this works if you're doing $35 million a year. This works if you're doing $50,000 a year. So
Okay.
sizing doesn't really matter. The first is to have a really good idea of the money that's going out. Right. And so, yeah, you can have a fancy cash flow forecast or a good template. There's a million of them online, but it really starts with like, when are your payments due? And so I will look at that, and I look at that on like a weekly basis. And so
Okay.
if there's 4 weeks of the month, all right, what week is rent due? Is rent due in the first, right? Or your mortgage payment? Cool. If you pay your employees on the first and the 15th, all right, the first and the second or the end of the second week, those are going to be bigger weeks. When is your, like, if you have aprons that need to be cleaned, right? Or materials or uniforms, when is the next inventory payment due, right? When is, your Facebook ads budget due? What terms you on that? And just create a list of all the things that you know are going to come out of your bank account on a normal weekly basis. And so say your business here and you've got $10,000 a month that is automatically coming out, which week all those things come out. And then you can start to layer around your other payments around that. And so for my clients who are large, I go, okay, if you have someone on your payables team, you're only allowed to spend this amount of money per week. And so you figure out how to move things around that way. I don't have to have the business owner do that. Now, if you as the business owner are doing that, if you know that you're going to sell $100,000 a month, cool. Over time, you know how much you're going to collect it each day or each week. Make sure your payments are spread out. So that way, your bank account doesn't get cut in half on the first of the month every month. So
Yeah.
can you change some of the days that your credit cards are due? Can you change some of the days that your payments are due? Your inventory supplier who you want to keep happy, maybe you don't push them out 2 weeks. Maybe you only push them out 1 week. So that's like general cash management as far as having a forecast. I would have projected receivables, so projected amount of money that you have coming in, the timing of that, because if you sell some wholesale on the side, you probably have terms set up with that. So you want to project your money coming in, you want to project your money going out, and I like to look at it over the next 13 weeks. So I know I just mentioned the first month. You take that template that first month and you drive those inputs to that calendar. So that way over the next quarter, when are you going to be low on cash and when are you going to be high on cash? And you never really want to be caught with you're low, because then that's when people make silly decisions. They get nervous. Maybe they go get some lending, like a merchant cash advance, which I don't recommend. And so you really just want good visibility on the money coming in, the money coming out, and you just project it over a period of 13 weeks, which is the next quarter. So that's what I recommend. There's
Okay.
plenty of templates online that'll help you do that. Those are the things you need to think about. Did that make sense?
Yep, totally. And again, it comes back to asking to change dates on things and just really being aware of that. I just feel if you were to log in your bank account and you're seeing it really low and that panic, that freak out, like you're saying, if we can get rid of any kind of panic, like we're good, but we just need to make sure that we're balancing it out. What would you say would be like, what if there was a retailer listening right now who is like logging in and their bank account is low? They just paid a lot. They've got money coming, but what would be the best way or a couple of good places for them to find some money, get some money to bridge that time until the money comes in?
Okay. So there's always a couple of thoughts, right? If your idea is there, if we're not talking about like pushing out your payables or moving your dates, then we got to change to the other side of the spectrum, which is money coming in. So a lot of people's first thought is, oh, I'll run a sale, right? Um, if you're highly dependent upon foot traffic, that may or may not work, right?
True.
I know you encourage people to send emails. I'm sure some text blasts. You can bump your numbers up like that, but things get kind of hard. And so first, budgeting your cash is really important so you don't get stuck like this. The other sort of options are is like, all right, can we look towards credit? Do you have an American Express credit card? Usually they give you about 45 days to pay, right? You put it on the statement day 1, day 30, the statement's posted. After that, you have to pay it. So it's an average of 45 days across. So there's short-term financing, long-term financing like SBAs, whatever else. If you have a building, you could get a loan against the building. Granted, those are oh shoot moments, probably not things that we want to go towards. And then there is, if you have wholesale relationships, right? Like you may have some money out there that haven't paid you. Well, pick up the phone and be like, hey, you're 2 weeks late. Hi. I need money, please. So those are a couple options as far as to bring some cash in. There is always the option of a sale. For me, I have a lot of experience in people who buy consumables. A lot of my clients sell consumables. So anytime you're doing a sale, you're bringing money that was going to come in forward, you're bringing it to today. But that means your sales are going to take a dip in the future. And so you're familiar with JCPenney, right? JCPenney used to send out, when we were younger, all the flyers in the mail of like 50% off, 60% off, 20% off, this, and this. And it was like a drug. And they actually, a couple of years ago, before I had a lot more troubles, said, you know what? We're just going to lower prices 2 days a week. All the other days, the prices are going to lower. And it's technically like the overall cost over the week is a lot lower. But their sales actually took a massive dip because people got hooked on the discount drug. And so discounts are really easy ways to get money today, but that's kind of the last lever that I would recommend you pull. Okay. And if you are going to extend discounts to certain groups of people, like segment out who you're talking to, like your VIPs, don't give them discounts. They're going to buy anyhow.
Yeah, very true. And this is where, we've talked in previous episodes a little deeper on segmentation and having the VIP, we know who buys a lot. The people who are the sale shoppers, like if they could be categorized in our system, and that's when we're just sending to those people. And we know they're not going to come for regular priced items. So if I need to make some money fast, I can really segment that list out. But I will say I've heard from a lot of retailers over the years who are like, I don't want to do sales anymore. My customers are only coming for sales. Like they've almost trained them to wait until there's a sale. And that obviously is a whole nother challenge. So I'm glad that you addressed that.
The sales drug is powerful. It really is. And to get out of that cycle, you got to be really aggressive in segmentation, throw on like RFM or recency, frequency, monetary. Like you got to be very, very aggressive. Getting out of that can be really hard and it takes a long time. It's not like a tomorrow thing. So it's really easy if we just don't go there.
Yep, totally. Now you just said RFM, which I've never heard that before. What is that?
So RFM is a way of segmentating people. It's called recency, frequency, and monetary. And you split your customers into buckets and you rank them 1 to 5. So like the top 20% recent buyers, the second 20%, the third 20%, the 40, the third, fourth, so on and so on. And so you give them a score 1 through 5 on recency. So how recent they bought, how often they buy, and how big their ticket price is. And so someone who's a 5 across all of those are your VIPs. They've bought the most recent, they buy the most frequently, and they've spent the most money. Don't give those guys discounts. Right. But maybe your people who haven't bought often and haven't bought a lot, right? Maybe those fit into a different category. And so it's just a way of segmenting people based upon what type of buyer they are and how you should treat them in a mathematical way, just based upon quintiles of your population. And so that's really helpful because it shows you who to discount, who not to discount. Like your 2s and 3s in those. So on the bottom, who don't buy often, don't buy a lot, like throw them discounts so they'll never come back. Right. That's like a different way. It's just a way to segment people. I'm sure you guys maybe do it like top spenders or most often or whatever else. This is just like a nerdier way to do it if you have a really large data set.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so if anybody who's listening to this and you have that data, When's the last time that you've looked at it and talked to these people? You might be sitting on some really great opportunities to drive traffic and sales. If you don't have this information, start gathering it. Now is a great time. I'm such a believer of segmentation. I talk about it a lot. We want to make sure that we have this information. It's going to make you a better business owner so you can pull the lever. Like you said, the levers in the beginning, we want to be able to pull those levers and make some money.
Yeah.
Speaking of making some money, you have a pretty cool case study, a success story that you shared with me. And I'd love for you to share with my audience. So you helped a client who was down $900,000
hmm
and you brought them to be up $500,000 in Q1. How did you guys do this? And what specific actions did you guys take to turn it around? That's a significant turnaround.
I mean, everything.
We did
So
everything different.
I mean, it felt like it, but he
Mhm.
was super willing, and so that's what made it fun.
Good.
Also very like willing to be flexible, try different things. So this guy was losing about 950, 952 last year, right? He's pretty large. He's doing about 15 million a year, but
Okay.
when you have to pull $900,000 out of your own personal pocket, that kind of stings.
Yeah.
Nobody likes that. And so he came on with us about January, and similar topic we hear all the time. My revenue is the same. My bank account balance is going down. I got a bookkeeper, but I don't it's like the math just isn't working. I don't understand what's wrong. And so we had to get his books redone. Turns out, he was losing more than he thought he was losing. And so my first thought was like, all right, how do we change that? And so we were able to take him from losing 952,000 to in quarter one, which he's really heavy sales in quarter four, like most e-commerce heavy guys are.
Mhm.
Black Friday, Christmas. Um, he didn't really sell a lot more in quarter one, but he made $568,000 in profit. And so from losing 900 in a whole year to profitable 568 in the first quarter, we had to do a lot of things. And so the first thing that we did is we looked at his shipping. He was spending way too much, on shipping.
Mm.
So we went to FedEx and we negotiated all the shipping costs down. So that's the first thing. So he spends between 2.2 and $2.4 million a year on shipping. We're gonna save him about 833 for the year. Um,
Wow.
so that's great, right?
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, went really aggressive on that. The next thing is he had two businesses inside of each other, and he wasn't sure which one was profitable, two product lines, and which one wasn't. And so we dove into his numbers, and it turns out one of his businesses actually wasn't profitable. He was
Mhm.
actually losing a couple $100,000 a month on that one, and the other one was subsidizing that one. And so we call that like a keep versus kill analysis.
Mhm.
The answer to that one was kill, it was not keep.
Yeah.
He's in the middle of maybe spinning that off and selling it, but we immediately wound down the advertising spend on that one, wound down the shipping, moved the staff over to the other one, and then wound the ad spend back up on that one. And so the combination of shipping savings, some reallocation or letting go of a couple of employees, saving a couple services he didn't need, better books and better clarity, as well as a little bit more direction on his like product mix. Like he has 15, 16,000 SKUs, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like some of those SKUs are winners and a lot of those SKUs are not so winners.
Yeah.
And so when you combine shipping savings, employee savings, getting rid of a business that's a product line that's hemorrhaging money inside of it, and then reallocating that spend, energy, and resources with the financial clarity, that's how we were able to take them from losing 900 a year to profitable 568, 566, one of the two, in the first quarter. But we met with him. We had to make a lot of changes very quickly.
Yeah.
And most people aren't willing to do that. Just to
Mm.
put it out there. Like it's hard work. Like I wish I could say, wave the wand and boop, it happened. It don't happen like that.
No, you do. You have to be willing. And change is hard for most people. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's uncomfortable. I think too, when you're losing money like that, that can also feel embarrassing or there's vulnerability. Like people are getting in and looking at what's going on. You might feel, frustrated with yourself for not knowing these things or just letting it get too far. But the thing is you have to get the help. You have to pay attention to this. I feel like so many business owners, not retail specific, I think this is a business owner thing, small
Mhm.
business owner, they won't pay attention to the numbers. It's like they just do you agree with me? Have you seen that?
It's always like, "I'll just sell more.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll just sell
Yes.
more and I'll be okay."
Yep. And then it's not even like, how much more do I need to sell? I feel like it's not even that calculated and
Or
strategic, you
or
know?
what, how, who's gonna sell it, what product is just, "I'll just sell more."
Yep. And yeah, or like, and then you might be spending more to sell more. And then we're just not paying attention to the numbers. And I think that's obviously why majority of small businesses fail. We've got
Mhm.
to be paying attention to the numbers. But it is hard. It's hard to change. It's hard to ask for help and be willing to do it. But man, with a case study like that, I hope that inspires anybody who's listening who maybe is in a tough place right now that needs to have some tough conversations and make some changes. It's worth it. You got to do it. And I feel like every time what ends up happening is you make it out on the other side and you're like, "Oh, that wasn't that hard. Like I survived. It won't kill you. You'll be all right."
I totally get it. How do I put this? They're a heck of a lot happier now, and
Mhm.
usually entrepreneurs get stuck in the spot because 'cause they're really good at doing the thing, or they're really good
Exactly.
at selling of said thing.
Yep.
And so I just think about it like this, right? Like you probably have people who are cashiers, or maybe they help customer service, or maybe they're really good at demonstrating the product in there, right? You as the business owner are probably pretty good at all those things, but usually you're really good and really passionate about whatever you're selling. And so usually that means the money skills and open up Microsoft Excel and staring at them until your eyes hurt, which is I love doing. You're
Right.
probably not going to do. It's probably not even the best use of your time.
Mhm.
Just
It's
like
not.
you guys crush it for Facebook ads for people. Like they're good at selling the thing. Why don't you guys just drive more foot traffic instead of them learning it all? Just bring on you guys. So it's just find the expert and drop them in. It's a lot easier that
Exactly.
way. I don't have to know everything. There's plenty of things I don't know. The things I do know, I'm awesome at. Everything else, I get someone else to do.
Exactly. Yes. Who, not how. I
Hmm.
mean, you don't I don't need our retailers learning Facebook ads, and we don't need them in these spreadsheets, but you have to have that support. We have to use these tools. And in fact, I just did an interview right before this one, and it was a retail store. And one of my questions in resilience round is, if you had to start your business all over again, what's one thing you would do? And it was, I would invest in people. I don't have the
Hmm.
time to learn all this. I'm not the expert in all of this. And you just got to invest some of those resources and get help. Is your local Main Street feeling a little less lively? Heart on Main Street is a nonprofit organization with a mission to change that. I have the honor of sitting on the board. It's a fantastic nonprofit that I highly recommend that you get involved, you check out. Let me tell you a little bit more about what we do here. We're dedicated to helping independent retailers thrive, bringing vibrancy back to the center of your town. We do it in a few ways. We're the financial muscle. We provide grants to local shops so they can invest in themselves, whether it's a new marketing campaign or fresh coat of paint. Knowledge is power. We offer educational programs and workshops to help store owners keep their businesses sharp and competitive. And together we stand. Heart on Main Street fosters a network of mentors and connections so shopkeepers can learn from each other and build a stronger community. By supporting independent retailers, we're not just helping businesses, we're helping create a vibrant, welcoming Main Street that's the heart and soul of your town. Join us in keeping the local spirit alive. There are things that you could do to get involved. You could even donate as little as $5 a month, maybe do $15 a month. You could have it on auto, just a monthly donation to help this incredible cause, to help other independent retailers thrive. You could go to heartonmainstreet.org/donate to, of course, donate and learn more to see how you can get involved. Again, that's heartonmainstreet.org. Okay, now speaking of investing resources and Facebook ads, spending on ads can be significant for our small businesses and their budgets really can vary. What advice do you have determining a good return on ad spend ROAS is how you'll sometimes hear that. And can you share some tips on how retailers can maximize their ad spend?
Okay. So usually finance people, when they think of ad spend, they think of it as a cost. Now, for people who make a living driving new customers, I don't look at it as a cost. I look at it as a driver of profit. So for my clients, I sit down and I go, who mostly on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Google, whatever. I'm like, all right, how much money do you want to make? This is going to drive how much ads we're going to spend. So instead of, oh, if I do $100,000 of revenue, I guess that maybe leaves $2,000 for ads. It's, I want to make $100,000 in revenue. This is what I'm going to spend in ads to get there. So first of all, it's like a mindset shift of ads are the driver, not like they fit in wherever you want it to go. So that's number one. The second portion behind that is a lot of people are usually afraid to spend money on ads because they don't understand that relationship. And so when you think about a return on ad spend, people are anywhere from 1.5 to 5, 6, 7x. I think most of my clients are around the like 2.8 to 3.2. Now, return on ad spend, that means basically I put in $1 into Facebook and $3.2 comes out of it. Now, you can determine how much you can spend on ads based upon how much your products cost you. So if I sell a thing for $100 and the cost of the goods sold or the item, the widget is $20, well, to me, that means I have up to $80 to spend on Facebook. You need to sell enough units to cover your fixed costs, right? Rent, electricity, salaries, whatever else. And so you think, all right, maybe I need to sell 1,000 units at, $100 a piece. I know a certain amount of those is cost of goods sold. I would assume everything else goes to marketing. And so if I'm getting a customer for $100, 20 of it goes to pay for the widget. That means I want to be spending $80 or less per customer. And if you look, like that's like a 1.2 ROAS. Like that's not anything great. My goal is to spend as much money on getting new customers as I possibly can. Once you do that, things open up very powerfully for you. So I've seen clients go from 100 grand a month to 3 million a month in like a year and a half. Like,
Wow.
granted, they have a box called Facebook and they know that they put in $1 and $3.50 comes out. They get a shovel and they're shoveling in cash, and then they get a dump
Yep.
truck, and then they get a conveyor belt. You know what I mean? Like they're pushing money into that furnace as fast as they can. So for them, it's, are we profitable on these ads? If yes, so that's determining the ROAS that they need. My first thought is how can I spend more? And my next thought is how can I make those customers more valuable? So if I don't make any money on the first customer, okay, do I sell consumable? Are they coming back next month?
Right.
Oh, that's free money until I upset the customer enough that they don't come back.
Exactly.
And so the larger retailers, the larger e-commerce companies, think of it like that instead of, if I want to grow, maybe I spend $1,000 a month on Facebook, or maybe this. It's how do I spend more money to grow? Do I need to change my offers? Do I need to change my pricing? Do I need to change like what I sell to them after they buy the thing, right? Like they buy the kayak. Well, here's some carbon fiber paddles that are really better. You want these? And so that's what I think of when it comes to ads is, if you're getting a ROAS above 3, like you should be printing money. You should spend a lot more. If you're not, your unit economics are wrong. Please fix that. And that's number one. 2 is eventually you'll reach a point with your ad spend where it doesn't make sense anymore. Like your ROAS will go down as your ad spend goes up. That's when you increase your average order value or increase your lifetime value. And then you can go up again in that spectrum. Once you figure out that, it's kind of like a video game. Like it's not super hard.
Yeah, it's true. It's knowing those things and then testing and trying and paying attention. And I think that the retailers who, hit the boost button, that's kind of a common thing because they're not really going in. I know they're not really going in and setting up these multiple ads, multiple audiences, testing creative, like testing the different offers, doing those things. It's just boosting because it's easy. And they don't know ads manager. They don't want to be in Business Suite, but we're just, you're paying to get extra eyeballs on that piece of content, but there's really no strategy behind that. There's so much more that you can be doing. And ultimately it's going to help, visibility of that one post, but it's just not going to build the business like you're wanting to build the business. You got to pay
Mhm.
attention to the return. And you shared this story with me. I don't know if you can share it on our show. And if not, then we can just cut this. But about soaps and like how you handled I know it's funny. It's funny soaps. But like
Am
you
I
had
allowed
to
to tell
test
you what the
for
soaps do?
yeah. Oh, I mean, you don't have to. We could just say soap.
For those laughing, I once had a client who focused on soaps that brighten your nether regions and armpit regions of women who happen to have darker pigmented skin.
Yep.
So butthole soap. Uh,
Yep. Yep.
so this business was owned by he was 20 because he wasn't allowed to drink at the time. And he started out and he was doing not a lot, maybe like $2,000-3,000 a day. Like nothing that sounds a lot, but hold on. Decent, but he wasn't profitable on his Facebook ads. He was just ramming his head into the wall, trying creatives like you said earlier, hit the boost button doesn't work. Like you can test hundreds of creatives in a week once you get up to scale. And I'm sure you guys test a lot. So you know
Yeah.
that. I'm preaching to the choir. But he was like, oh, what if I change what I sell slightly? And so at first he tried 1 bar of butthole soap. Now I was losing like $3 per transaction. All right, what if I try $2 and I raise the price $10? Oh, now he's losing like $1.50 per transaction. He's like, what if I raise the price $5 and add on like a 10-cent scrubby glove? Huh. Well, now he's making $1 or $2 a transaction. He's like, all right, what if I do buy one soap, get one free, plus free scrubby glove for the exact same price? Now he's making $15 a transaction. So
Wow.
he went from $3,000 a month to $60,000 a day in a span of a month and a half.
$60,000 a day.
A day, a day.
Wow.
And that was he spending $20,000-$30,000 a day on Facebook. That was before he was 21.
Yeah. That's nuts. Okay. And I just feel like if you can make $60,000 a day on butthole soap, like
What the
I
hell am I
just
doing with my life?
there's opportunities out there. Like, but what I was amazed with this story in many ways, but one of my big takeaways was you got to test the offer. You got to test the price. You got to test the offer. You're testing the creative, what it says. It's not just I boost something and now I make money, or I set up ads and now all of a sudden I make money. There's often this testing period and really understanding what's resonating and working. And if you're an established business, you might know some of that already. So now you're putting that into advertising and you're faster at seeing those results. But it just does take some of that time, but it's worth it because
Mhm.
when we're going from $2,000 to $60,000 by tweaking the offer, I mean, it's crazy.
And that's probably the most egregious story
Yeah.
that I have of this, but tweaking what you sell in ways that are almost imperceivable to you of difference can have a massive difference to other people. And the
Yep.
thing is I have a decent sense for marketing. I've just seen a lot of e-commerce things. So I've seen what works, what kind of doesn't work. Because I don't have the data points of just me. I have all my clients and all the people I've spoken to. And even then, I'll be like, you should try this. Oh, and I'll give someone an example. So I recommend test 4 different offers. And I'll give an example of 2 and I'll let the client come up with the other 2. Half the
Okay.
time, my 2 are the wrong 2, right? So whatever you think is going to happen, it's probably wrong. So test that one crazy thing because
Yeah.
it might be right, but it might be change your life right.
Hmm.
And so work on changing up the offer. That's way better than coming up with a better headline or coming up with a better creative or like a prettier guy or girl to like do your ad. Just change up what you sell. And it's, kayak plus free paddles, plus free carbon paddles, plus free cooler with kayak. Maybe the cooler is $50 and you raise the price of the kayak $100, right? Oh shoot, it comes with a free, Yeti. I love that. I'm buying the kayak.
Yep. Exactly. There's so much psychology around this. And we did a webinar around price psychology. We'll link to this because we have it available just forever through our partners at Management One. And you got to test different things. You got to get in the heads. You got to understand. But that's where we're talking about this, because this can make you more money. It can make the ads more successful. And of course, that's what we want for our retailers. I shared this with you, and I just want to share this on the show. We can't guarantee this, but for some of our clients, we're seeing as high as 48 return on ad spend. Like, it's
If I had an
awesome.
opportunity to get that, I would take out a second mortgage tomorrow
Yeah.
and hand you $100,000 tomorrow. I
Put the
mean,
money in.
here you go.
Yep, feed the monster. I mean, and again, like, that's not our average, but I just want to share that with our listeners because, again, the who, not how, we're doing a lot of the testing. We're reporting back these metrics, and to see our retailers grow, like our most successful retailers, they use ads. And
Mhm.
I know that you're passionate about ads. That's what you're saying, is how can we leverage this to make us more money? It's not an expense. It's helping us grow. I mean, it's obviously an expense, but it's helping us grow the business and profit.
Absolutely.
So good. Thank you for sharing that story. It's
If you
so
have to edit out the
funny.
word butthole, free feel too.
Yep. No, we'll keep it in. I think it adds a nice effect to the episode.
I look at this nerdy guy talk about butts on the internet.
Yep.
Why?
Yeah, this podcast took a turn here. Oh my goodness. On that note, Charles, are you ready for the resilience round?
All right, fire away.
All right, best business book.
Never split the difference.
Ooh, I have not read that one yet, but I've heard really good things about it. Yeah.
I've read it 3
Okay.
times. Do
Oh,
it. Absolutely.
okay. Awesome. Best retail technology, like an app or software.
I'm going to cheat here. QuickBooks.
Yep. That's a good one. How do you keep up with the ever-changing retail landscape?
So I like to figure out what's working today and not yesterday. So I talk to everyone. And every time I get off a call, I go, what's working for you now and what's not working for you? And that way I can have data points from everyone who's actually doing it. So that's my biggest kind of tip, is ask everyone what's working.
Good one. Love it. To help retailers be stronger, more rooted in success, what's a foundational best practice when it comes to budgeting?
First of all, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So get your books done and then get someone who's an expert to look at them. Could be someone like me, could be not someone like me, could be a trusted partner, someone that you know, or even you yourself, because you can guide them. Measure it so you can manage it.
So good. If you had to start your business all over again, what's something you'd do different?
I would go a lot harder, a lot bigger, a lot earlier. And I would find someone who's done it before and just attach myself to them. And I would have gotten like mentorship and community way earlier.
I agree. What do you think the future of independent retail looks like?
So I think independent retail, and you can tell me if you disagree, but I think people don't trust companies anymore. They trust individuals. And so when I walk into a retail store, I'm looking to be guided. I don't want to find 70,000 different options of things. I want you to be like, Charles, like I walked into an REI a while ago and I was like, I need a hiking backpack. Guy looks at me, sees how tall I am. He goes, sees my strength, sees my wellness, sees my budget. He goes, this is the perfect bag for you. Here's why. I'm going to get it set up. Then I'll walk it over to the cash register. I spent $400 without even blinking.
Yep.
And I knew it was going to be the best thing possible for me. And I could just turn off my brain. So I think custom curated showcase instead of Costco, I can buy everything out there possible.
I am so that person too. I think the majority of people are. They want help. Make it easy on me. We are making so many decisions every single day now more than ever. I feel like, especially because technology is so much faster and information's coming in. So if you can make my life so much easier on shopping and not give me a ton of options and curate for me, that sounds great. I'm in.
Love that.
Oh, so I agree with you. Charles, where can people find more about you and connect with you?
Sure. So you can always find me at Charles Leikauf on Instagram. If you're interested in having us take a look at some of your books or whatever else, the name of our company is Ecom Profit Group. It says for e-commerce people, go book a call. We can talk. If it's a good fit, cool. If it's not, I can point you in a better direction to get to where you want to go. So Instagram and our website would be the best place.
Awesome. And we'll link to all this, but the web address is
ecomprofitgroup.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Charles, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your number nerdiness on the show today. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Everyone, remember that I'm rooting for your success. Have a great week ahead. Bye. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. Don't forget to join the Rise and Shine newsletter, which is social media news you need to know, sent via email every Monday morning. Go to crystalmediaco.com/rise to join. And don't miss the newest episode of Rooted in Retail, which drops every Sunday morning.